Right. In this next few days, I'll be sharing with you on how to think like a linguist. A linguist must learn to think critically, and part of what I'll be stressing is on thinking critically, testing everything. So, when you ask me, for instance, say, what is this? I shouldn't give the answer without testing it. There are parameters for testing everything. So let's take grammatical categories, for example. They can be very, very complicated. I mean, how do you distinguish a noun from a verb? Um, how do you distinguish adjectives from certain nouns? They can be very confusing. So in this part, I'll be sharing with you on, say, two things. The fact that something is categorized as an adjective in one language doesn't mean that it wouldn't be different in another language. So take adjectives, for example. In English, we know good is an adjective, bad is an adjective, white is an adjective, red, color words, they are all adjectives, right? Because they qualify. How about I let you know that in some African languages, and I take Egmont for example, these words are not necessarily always adjectives. They function as verbs as well. And that's strange. But how do I know that it is in fact a verb? Well, that can be a tricky question because I already know it in English to be an adjective. So how do I come to the conclusion that no, it's a verb in my language? That's something that you must take note, okay? Or better still, you find some words in your language that do not have categories in English. Say you have certain forms of words that are not in English. Idiophones, for example. Though English people may have onomatopoeic words and so on, but you could see that, say, um, your head is big, by people who say ngingingly. Uh, you know, that's you're walking anyhow. You're walking in an irregular manner. Someone would say you're walking ne ne ne. You see, those categories are not in English. So what category do you put them in? The challenge I find is having to teach somebody who already knows the English language how to disengage themselves from what they know and begin to think critically and see and test everything for every language. So the point is that every language will behave a little bit differently at some points with certain categories, grammatical categories. That's the focus of this video. So they will behave differently, and you must be willing to place them where they belong in the language you are analyzing. When you don't do that, then it doesn't work well. Right, see you in the next video.